Apple smashes through a new record high, igniting debates across Wall Street. Is this just the beginning of its tech dominance? Or are we witnessing the high water mark for the world's biggest company?
Strongest smartphone sales growth for Apple since the pandemic.
All right, come on, be a little bit more excited about it. You and I have been talking about this since the summer. And I think one of the things that's important to understand, in particular with the Mag 7, is where are people in terms of positioning, sentiment, and expectations? Yes, we are getting better fundamental news regarding iPhone sales. I saw the figure. It's up about 14% relative to where we were, 17 versus the 16 on the first 10 days uptake. But I want everyone to just remember, where was Apple in 2024? Apple was negative on the year. Think about that. Where was Alphabet in 2024? It was negative on the year. And what did that do? That carried forward into 2025 this kind of muted expectation, muted sentiment, muted positioning. Everyone wanted NVIDIA. And then all you need is that one spark, that one catalyst. And maybe it was Tim Cook in the Oval Office with the president. I'm not sure if that's what it was.
Maybe you can make a checklist and just say at the bottom, all the above.
Whatever it might be. But it's a rebuilding of positioning. It's the moving of sentiment from somewhat muted to more bullish. And you see it reflected in the price action and strong technicals. And we're seeing it in Alphabet year to date. You saw it earlier in the year in Microsoft. And now you're seeing it in Apple. One last point. I'll tell you what. Amazon's going to be the next one. I think it's going to be a 2026 story because Amazon is now getting a little bit of the disappointment because it's not really responding the way people thought in 2025. Watch 2026 Amazon do what Alphabet, Apple, and Microsoft did this year.
Let me just bring in, hang on, before you get there. I'll come to you guys and I'll get everybody involved. But I want to bring in Steve Kovac, who follows this company, this stock, obviously. As we look at this stock hit a new high, Joe said maybe it's this, maybe it's that, maybe it's everything. Maybe it's the fact that just the company has finally given people a reason to buy a new phone, to upgrade after a number of years, the strongest, as we said, since the pandemic. Maybe it's also Tim Cook's diplomacy, both at home and abroad, that has led this stock on this renewed run. What do you think?
Yeah, the answer is yes, Scott, to all of the above, just like you alluded to. And part of that is also we're seeing the China rebound as well. So that Bloomberg headline that Joe was referring to, that they are estimating that sales are 14% better than they were a year ago. And we've been hearing that since the iPhone went on sale about a month ago. That base model of the iPhone 17, got some of those high-end features that we saw in the Pro models before. That's finally made their way down to that base model. And on top of that, the China subsidies are helping out a lot, too. Plus, we just woke up this morning to just tons of positive chatter from the analyst community. You have Evercore adding them to their tactical outperform list. You have Loop Capital saying the 17 lineup is blowing past all of their expectations. It's just showing this thesis that we had last year that AI could provide this big boost, that Apple Intelligence rollout to get people to upgrade. That didn't happen. That never materialized. And not just because Apple failed to deliver so many of those features. They did early on what they promised to do, and then they kind of failed. What we're seeing here is new designs, new form factor with the iPhone Air. All of that is getting people excited. I saw this on launch day. I was standing outside the Fifth Avenue Apple Store, Scott, and you could just tell the vibes were totally different. People were excited about this lineup. They wanted those new Pro phones with that great camera system and a new design. The Air doesn't seem to be selling as well here in the United States, but in China, those customers are really hot on it. So, look, we're in 10 days' time. I'm going to be out in Cupertino. We're going to have those earnings. We're going to get our first real data, the first several days of iPhone 17 sales, and then I'll just talk about what Loop Capital was saying this morning. Look out for the guidance, because that might actually surprise to the upside for the December quarter if this momentum continues, Scott.
Yeah, you mentioned Loop, and they upgrade today to buy from hold, the target to 315, as you said, from 226. So the target had been blown through, and now they take it even higher. Great job, by the way, guys, on the wall that was put together to show all of that positive news around Apple that has led to the chart looking that way. So big props back in the control room. What do you want to say? You want to rain on the parade?
I totally want to rain on this parade.
Because she doesn't own it.
Because I feel like I'm sitting on another planet here. So, Joe, when you said, like, okay, Google, Alphabet could be the next Apple, or Amazon, sorry, could be the next Apple, what? That means we're going to be up 1% on the year? Because that's where we are. We're up 1% on the year.
I said next year, Amazon.
Next year. What does that mean? Yeah, so next year, Amazon's going to be up 1% for the year. This is crazy to me that we're this excited about it. We're up 7% in the last 52 weeks. That's half of what the market's returned. If you look through all the Mag 7, Apple has the worst setup. It's trading at 32 times earnings. Even after this news, analyst expectations are still coming in for like 9 to 10% earnings growth ahead. Everything else out there has either a better PE or better earnings growth ahead of it. And I just think, like, I don't know where all this excitement is coming from. It's not in the huge AI space. It's not. It's just, to me, I'm like, what are we talking about? Why are we getting so excited about something that's up 1% on the year, 7.5% over the last 52 weeks? It's just like none of the numbers look compelling to me. I could look out like far past the Mag 7 and find tons of things that I think have a better earnings growth story, a better valuation story behind it. You know, I sold Nextera a couple weeks ago because the numbers were not even this compelling. It was 23 times earnings with 8% earnings growth, and I sold it because I thought that was too expensive. So I don't see how we get this pumped about it. Like, yeah, from a new iPhone perspective, the story's good, but from a valuation, fundamental analysis perspective, it's boring.
Wow.
The stock's up 30%.
Okay.
The stock is up 30% since the beginning of August. When I came on air, we talked about it. I said this is a moment that is a clearing event.
Year to date.
It's up 30% since the beginning of August when we came on air and we highlighted it. We said this is the moment that we believe Apple is about to make the move.
Take your 30% and be done.
No, thank you.
Like, why should it go higher from here?
Momentum.
Josh, what do you think?
Yeah, I know. You're Team Joe. You're Team Joe.
No, just respectfully, there are a lot of things that I just choose not to have an opinion on. This is technology, and I have to tell you, the thing that none of us are saying out loud, but is like buzzing like wildfire among Silicon Valley people, is that Apple has a secret project underway for employees only. It's their own in-house chatbot. Codename is Veritas. It is not available to consumers right now, but it is probably the early stages of what Apple's AI is actually going to be. Apple Intelligence was a bust. We all know that. It's not that it doesn't work. It's that it didn't drive people to say, I have to have the new iPhone. And the 17 is doing well, probably better than myself and most other people really had given them credit for. And I think that's why you're seeing the stock at a high. But what takes this higher? What justifies 30 times earnings, which is admittedly very high for a company with this level of growth? The only thing that could do that is a chat GPT that Apple develops and releases in its app store as its own in-house AI available to consumers. And the buzz right now is that that's a thing that's going to happen. That's not in anyone's numbers. So right now, OpenAI's app, ChatGPT, is the best app for AI in the App Store. And then we also know Apple's heavily reliant on Gemini. But the thing is, Apple employees are now using Veritas, and they are getting contextual answers based on their own personal life, their own personal history in using that. Well, and if and when Apple decides that they want to roll this thing out, that's a whole different story for the stock. And that's the thing that I think nobody has in their numbers or their expectations. And that is the most important thing that could happen.